Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger. And up next on the GM, we're going to be discussing Malik Harrison's road to recovery after being shot last off season. Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. So, in this particular video, this one and the next one that I do, I'm going to put it into the context of when football meets real life. Okay. And just a heads up, the next video I do will come out today about 4 to 7 o'clock, somewhere in that time frame. And it's probably going to be the most controversial video that I've done. But you guys know I'm not afraid of controversy. I say what I say, mean what I say, stand on that. And so nothing that I say in this video is necessarily opinion. It's just kind of an assessment uh, and an attempt to create understanding um, for the guys we root for. All right. So Malik Harrison, who is he? Well, he out of Ohio State, drafted, um, I think in that 2021 draft, I believe, 2020 draft, I believe. Hold on, 2020. Nevertheless, inside linebacker, and we've been trying to find inside linebacker help for a couple of years. And Malik Harrison actually turned into a really good special teams player. Big, strong, had some speed to him, but never really broke into the rotation at inside linebacker. And so, but he's been a good fit for what we do on special teams. And for everything I've read about Malik Harrison, no drama, you know what I'm saying, keeps to himself, minds his own business. And so I wanted to put that out there first because a lot of times when we hear about NFL players or ball players in general get into any kind of controversy, any kind of off the field issues, there's a couple of things that kind of pop up first, whether it's media, whether it's local conversation. And those three things are race. Okay. Those things are why would they put themselves in that situation? And the third thing is guilt over innocence. And so it's always what did they do in these situations? And so I wanted to talk about his character first, so he kind of minds his own business, quiet guy from everything that I've read. That's who Malik Harrison is. So when he got shot last off season, um, when it first came out, we didn't know the severity. We just heard initially, just like everybody else, including his family, that he had been shot. And then it came out that he had been shot in the calf. And we kind of relaxed a little. Certainly his career could have been on the line, but it wasn't, of course. But anytime somebody gets shot, the first thing you want to address is loss of life, right? Or threat to life. And once threat to life is mitigated, then all the other ancillary things come into play. And so as I was reading this article concerning this interview about Malik Harrison, uh, several things jumped out to me, three things in particular, and I'll link the interview article in the description section so you can check it out and read for yourself and create your own assessment, okay? Um, but as a mental health clinician, this thing kind of stood out to me, above other Baltimore Ravens news. And so the first thing that stood out to me is that these ball players that we root for are human first. And I think that's important for us as fans to realize that if a guy misses a tackle, if he misses an interception, if he drops a pass, if he fumbles the ball, if he misses the sack, whatever it may be, these guys are still human, which means there's always room for human error in play. But more importantly, there's mental and emotional, social and physical aspects to these people. and they suffer injury and things just like we do, right? And so that was the first thing that stood out to me, is that when he got shot, once threat to life was mitigated, right? You began to, if you read this article, you'll begin to see how mental emotional vulnerabilities came into play. Uh, Malik speaks, pretty clearly about his struggle mentally, his struggle emotionally. Although he got back on the field within a month, the mental emotional toll was still real, still had an impact. And so that's the first thing I want us to know, is that these guys, um, as big, as strong as they are, and although they play kind of a barbaric sport, they're human first. Okay. And so let's take that into consideration as we, root for our favorite players, and even when those guys mess up, we have to keep in mind. Now, you guys know I will saute a guy up, you know what I'm saying? But it's never a character assassination. You know what I'm saying? I will address character if it's a character issue. I will address play if it's a play issue, but I'm never gonna cut deep enough to make it a personal attack. And I think we need to make sure of that, because we certainly have heard situations and circumstances where um these guys have gotten death threats, and people have shown up at houses and all kind of crazy stuff like that. And that's too far. Okay. So that's the first thing I recognized, was the human element um, to his road to recovery. Okay. The second thing that jumped out to me is that he tried to handle it all alone. And that's typically what we do, especially men. Men have a habit of kind of suppressing and pulling back and withdrawing when we have an issue or a circumstance we're trying to cope with, we're trying to deal with. And the truth is, some burdens you can't carry alone. It's just true. Um, and that's what Malik Harrison talked about, is that, he tried to just handle it, right? And that's probably how he had learned to handle things as he was growing up, middle school, high school, young adulthood, is to just handle it. Something pops up, just handle it. And a lot of times what happens is, these young players, of all caliber, it doesn't matter what sport you play, but these young players are the hope sometimes for the entire family, right? If they make it, the whole family makes it. And that's a burden in and of itself. And so so when people begin to lean on you, or lean on these players to uh bring in the finances, change mom's life, change dad's life, change the family dynamic, create generational wealth, man, that's a lot of pressure that we never recognize. And so when he gets shot, you know what I'm saying? One thing that stood out in the article was that he didn't know if his career was over. And think about it from that angle, right? If you are the burden carrier, if you're the hope for the entire family, you're the breadwinner in some aspects. Not that, mom and dad don't work. I don't know his family dynamic situation, but just follow me. If you're the breadwinner, so to speak, and then now you can't go make money anymore, then the whole family dynamic shifts again. Okay, so that's a burden. And so and so for Malik and players like Malik, and us, just as regular people who go gotta get our own grind, go do our thing every day. Know that if you're dealing with something, you don't have to do it all alone. Right? There's plenty of people out there that are willing to help or able to help. And if they can't, they can point you in the right direction. So that's the second thing that I noticed, that he tried to carry it all by himself. So my message to Malik and other players: you're not alone. You don't have to carry it alone. Um, Open up, talk, Find a good support system. Find 2 or 3 people. You don't need a big group. Find 2 or 3 people that you trust, and let that out. Let that out. Okay. And the third thing that stood out to me, the third major thing that stood out to me from this article was that the injury to the mind lasts a lot longer than a physical injury. And it's something I already understand, but reading it from Malik's perspective, just kind of, reminded me of that, for lack of a better term. When you're reading this article, you can kind of see how the fan base, coaching staff, players, or teammates rather, they could see Malik on the field, right, practicing and smiling or whatever, cheering on his teammates or whatever that looked like on the field. And so on the outside, everything looks fine. But if you read the article, you will see that he was still dealing with something. So an injury to the mind lasts a lot longer than an injury to our body. An injury to our body, excuse me, an injury to our body has a timetable. An ACL injury, basically a year recovery, an Achilles injury, a year recovery. So there's a timetable to that. And then there's an expectation that you get back to doing what you do. But when your mind is injured, right, when your soul is injured, that can certainly last a lot longer. And so, again, to Malik, players, and just us in general, it's easy to hide what we're truly dealing with. It is, because we can always put on a smile. We can dress it up, dress it down, laugh it off. But again, if this is a PSA, have an understanding that you don't have to recover quickly, right? Because mental, emotional recovery is no timetable to that, right? Because the shock and trauma of being shot, no matter where it was, can be certainly long lasting. Okay. And here's kind of a reminder. Some of you may not be old enough to remember Sean Taylor, but I am. Of course, he was from the U, which is a team that I loved back in the day. And so Sean Taylor was an animal in pro football. If his life hadn't have been cut short, he would have went down as one of the best safeties ever to do it. But Sean Taylor's house got broken into and somebody was robbing it, and he was shot in the leg. And so I remember when the report came through that he had been shot in the leg. And so you kind of pass that off, right? You kind of brush that off. And I'm relating that to Malik Harrison being shot in the leg. But you kind of brush that off, say, oh man, just a leg injury, he'll be fine, right? But when Sean Taylor was shot in the leg, that bullet hit a major artery and he basically bled out. They couldn't stop the bleeding and he died. And so I never want to, and we never should minimize a person's injury, what a person has gone through, and especially if there's been a threat to a person's life. All right. So listen, man, that's my thing. Let me know whatever you guys want me to know about the Malik Harrison situation. I hope this video speaks to you in a different way. Again, I got another major video coming up this afternoon. Please stay tuned for that. It's a kind of a big project. Please watch this, share this, like it. And if you have never subscribed, subscribe. If you got a friend who's looking for some good content, I believe we bring good content because we'll continue to do things like this when football intersects real life. Listen, I'm your guy, Boulanger. This is the GM, and we're out.